Hello and welcome to Study with Sudhir, your own digital classroom. Now this is part 3 of the excretory system explanation video. मैं उम्मीद करता हूं कि पहले दो भाग, the first two parts you have already seen, in which we introduced the excretory system. We also described the Malpighian capsule, the Bowman's capsule, the PCT, the DCT, all that in detail. So please see those two videos. The links are there in the description box, and then come to part 3 of this video, the part 3 और जो कि कंक्लूडिंग वीडियो होने वाला है. ओके, तो एक्सक्रीटरी सिस्टम का ये थोड़ा लंबा वीडियो होगा, तो बने रहिएगा right till the end and subscribe to the channel. So let's get started on biology with SWS excretory system part 3. Now, what are we going to study in this particular video? We are going to talk about urine formation, कि formation कैसा होता है, the entire process of urine formation. How does it happen? उसके बारे में पढ़ेंगे. इसके साथ साथ we will talk about जो 3 processes हैं जिसके बारे में आपको जानना जरूरी है, because ना केवल ये syllabus में included है, but this is the way urine is formed. Okay, so आपको पूरा process जानना बिल्कुल जरूरी है. So the first one is ultrafiltration, then of course is reabsorption, and the third one is the tubular secretion. So इन तीनों के बारे में डिटेल में बताएंगे विद द हेल्प ऑफ डायग्राम्स, इंक्लूडिंग द कीवर्ड्स, ताकि आप कोई भी कीवर्ड आंसर लिखते वक्त आप मिस ना करें. और इसका फायदा होगा ना केवल सब्जेक्टिव आंसर्स में, द लॉन्ग क्वेश्चन आंसर्स में, बट इवन इन द एमसीक्यू यू विल बी एबल टू रिलेट कि किसकी वजह से क्या होता है. तो दैट्स व्हाट वी आर गोइंग टू स्टडी इन दिस पर्टिकुलर वीडियो. नाउ दिस इज द डायग्राम दैट यू वुड हैव सीन इन योर टेक्स्ट बुक. जो भी आप टेक्स्ट बुक फॉलो करते हैं उन सभी में ये डायग्राम तो होगा. सो वन साइड इज द एफरेंट आर्टीरियल, ओके, जिससे कि ब्लड आता है, एंड द सेकंड वन इज द एफरेंट आर्टीरियल. नाउ इफ यू सी द विड्थ ऑफ द एफरेंट आर्टीरियल, द एफरेंट विद द ए इज मोर देन द एफरेंट विद द ई, इसका विड्थ कम होता है. दिस इज एन इंपॉर्टेंट डिस्टिंक्शन बिटवीन द एफरेंट आर्टीरियल and the efferent arteriole. इस बात का ध्यान हमेशा रखिए. एंड दिस इज द बोमैन्स कैप्सूल, जिसके बारे में हमने वीडियो नंबर 2 में बताया था. और यहां से ग्लोमेरुलस के द्वारा इट गोस इनटू द ग्लोमेरुलर फिल्ट्रेट इज फॉर्म्ड, एंड देन थ्रू डिटेल्ड कैपिलरीज, द लूप ऑफ हेनले, यूरिन इज फॉर्म्ड. उस प्रोसेस के बारे में हम बताएंगे. सो दिस इज एसेंशियली, दिस इज वेयर इट ऑल स्टार्ट्स. ओके, सो दैट्स व्हाट वी विल स्टडी. Now what happens in ultrafiltration? Now थोड़ा ध्यान से सुनिए. I will go slow ताकि आपको समझने में कोई मुश्किल ना हो. ओके, और इसमें मैं I will keep on highlighting the keywords. So keywords पर जरा गौर फरमाइएगा. Okay, so the ultrafiltration is the primary step in the formation of urine. So जहां तक यूरिन फॉर्मेशन का सवाल है, सबसे पहला स्टेप, प्राइमरी स्टेप इन यूरिन फॉर्मेशन इज अल्ट्राफिल्ट्रेशन. दिस इज नॉट द लास्ट स्टेप, ये पहला पड़ाव है. ओके, अल्ट्राफिल्ट्रेशन विच इज ऑल्सो नोन एज ग्लोमुलर फिल्ट्रेशन. ओके, तो ये दूसरा नाम भी आपको जानना जरूरी है फ्रॉम एन एमसीक्यू पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू, याद रखना. ओके, व्हाट इज इट? व्हाट इज द डेफिनेशन? It is the filtration of blood which takes place in the glomerulus. Okay, so that is the basic definition of ultrafiltration. You need to know the keywords. So filtration of blood which takes place in this particular part. Okay, now the blood which contains urea flows through the glomerulus under high pressure. And this is higher than in any other capillary. Okay, in terms of pressure, it is more than in any other capillary. Now the blood containing the urea, जिसका कि मैंने अभी आपको डायग्राम बताया, efferent arteriole से आ रहा है. Efferent arteriole से it flows and then it goes into the glomerulus. It comes like that and then it goes into the mass of capillaries, which is the glomerulus. इस साइड पे efferent arteriole है. So ये efferent वाला है, ये E वाला है. So this is the mass of capillaries, which is the G. Okay, और यहां पर Bowman's capsule है, and यहां से it further goes down into the loop of Henle, etc. Okay, Now, it is higher than in any other capillary. Why so? This can be a 1 mark or a 2 mark question. Why is it high pressure? Because the efferent arteriole, which is the outgoing arteriole, afferent with an A is the incoming arteriole. Afferent with the E is the outgoing arteriole. That is narrower. What I mentioned to you in the diagram, that is narrower than the afferent arteriole, and therefore the pressure is much more. Okay. Now, I'll show you the diagram again so that you understand what I'm talking about. It comes like this, and this width is more, and it comes into the glomerulus. Okay, so that's why the pressure is much more. Now, what happens as part of ultrafiltration? Ultrafiltration का definition तो समझ में आ गया, लेकिन ultrafiltration में होता क्या है उसके बारे में समझते हैं. So, जो high pressure create होता है, that causes the liquid part of the blood, जो blood में liquid part है, to filter out from the glomerulus into the renal tubule. यानी कि उसके glomerulus के नीचे जो tubule है, वहां पर उसके नीचे चला जाता है और उसको glomerular filtrate कहते हैं. That filtration under extraordinary force is called ultrafiltration. So, इस filtrate को glomerular filtrate कहते हैं. And what does it consist of? This you need to remember. Water, largely water. There is also urea. There are salts like sodium which are present, glucose and other plasma solutes. This is part of this filtrate. What? Okay, ये तो हो गया कि ये नीचे चला गया. Okay, बाकी क्या बचा ग्लोमेरुलस में, उसके बारे में जानना जरूरी है. What is left behind in the glomerulus? The blood corpuscles are left behind, the proteins are left behind, and other large molecules. तो इसकी वजह से होता क्या है कि these are carried forward through that narrow efferent arteriole. Okay, now therefore the blood which is carried away, because इसमें पानी कम होता है, पानी is very little, almost minuscule. So because it does not have much liquid, therefore the blood which is carried away from the efferent arteriole is relatively more thick, more concentrated. Okay, this can be yet another 2-mark question. Please make note of it. Okay, so this part which I'm explaining to you, what is there in the filtrate, what is left behind in the glomerulus, and why is it thick is important. Please make note of it. Now, again, I'm showing you the diagram so that you can keep relating it to the diagram. This is how it comes. This is the entire mass of capillaries. This is where the rest of the blood goes. And here, which is relatively thick, as I mentioned, for reasons earlier, और यहां से नीचे जाके बनके it goes off. But that's not the final stage for the formation of urine. अभी urine नहीं बना है. Please remember that. Okay. So, उसके बाद the next stage, stage 2. There are 3 stages, as I explained right at the beginning. 3 stages हैं. दूसरे stage पे what happens in reabsorption is the glomerular filtrate that enters the renal tubules is not urine. Do not make that mistake. Urine is not yet produced. Okay. When the filtrate reaches the proximal convoluted tubule, यानी कि PCT, जो entire mass of capillaries ऊपर नीचे जाता है, उसमें जो PCT है, much of the water along with sodium ions and chloride ions, glucose, amino acids and some vitamins is reabsorbed. उसका फिर से process of reabsorption takes place and moves back into the blood. So whatever glomerular filtrate has come, almost 95% of that, 99% of the filtrate is reabsorbed by the renal tubules. All that gets reabsorbed. Okay. But their reabsorption does not disturb the normal concentration of blood. उसके वजह से blood का entire composition, उसका concentration डिस्टर्ब नहीं होता है और इसी को सेलेक्टिव एब्जॉर्प्शन कहते हैं. दिस इज प्रोसेस नंबर 2 इन द फॉर्मेशन ऑफ यूरिन. सो वॉट एवर गोज थ्रू द फिल्ट्रेट, 99% ऑफ दैट इज रीएब्सॉर्ब्ड, राइट, बाय द रीनल ट्यूब्यूल्स without disturbing the concentration of the blood. So what you are going to finally let out is essentially what would we call complete waste matter. We'll come to that in a minute. The third stage is the tubular secretion. Okay, this is the last step in the formation of urine. So first was ultrafiltration, the second one was reabsorption, and the third one is tubular secretion. This is the last stage in the formation of urine. तो आपको अगर यूरिन के फॉर्मेशन के बारे में पूरा पूछा जाए, आपको इन तीनों के बारे में बताना पड़ेगा, लेकिन हो सकता है आपको एक स्टेज के बारे में स्पेसिफिकली 2 मार्क का क्वेश्चन में पूछा जाए. Now what happens here is that the tubular wall cells secrete substances like hydrogen ion, potassium ions, K plus ions, etc. into the filtrate. जो filtrate आ रहा है, okay, उसमें tubular walls cells they secrete potassium ions, hydrogen ions into the filtrate. Okay, जो reabsorb होने के बाद बचा हुआ है. Through this process, the ionic, the acid base, and the balance of other body fluids is maintained. Okay, that is the reason, that is the purpose of release of secretion of all these ions into the filtrate. The secreted ions combine with the filtrate and form urine. So urine is formed from what is remaining of the filtrate, right? And the secreted ions which are released into the filtrate. The urine passes from the nephron tubule into a collecting duct. Okay, so that is, so we'll do a recap also. इसके बाद हम एक recap भी करेंगे ताकि आपको सब समझ में आ जाए, सब एक तरह से रिवाइज भी हो जाए. Okay. So what is urine? So urine, the filtrate left after reabsorption, selective reabsorption and tubular secretion is called urine. Okay, it is 95% water and 5% nitrogenous waste. What I said, it's only water and the waste material, nitrogenous waste. Waste such as urea, ammonia, creatinine are excreted in the urine, also potassium, sodium and calcium ions. So urine consists of all these elements. Okay, now it passes, now where all does it pass through before it is released from the body? It passes into the collecting ducts. वहां से जाके it goes into the pelvis area, then it goes into the ureter, then it goes into the urinary bladder, and there from the urinary bladder by ureteral peristalsis and waves of constriction in the ureter as well as by gravity, it is released from the body, from the human body. Now urine, this part is important because what is micturition? Now this is an important definition जिसके जो कि काफी बोर्ड एग्जाम में फेवरेट है. Okay, so urine is expelled through the urethra by relaxation of the sphincter muscle. So आपसे MCQ में भी पूछा जा सकता है, 2 मार्क क्वेश्चन में micturition के डेफिनेशन के रूप में भी पूछा जा सकता है, the role of the sphincter muscles. So when the sphincter muscles relax, they are located at the opening of the urinary bladder into urethra. So you would see the sphincter muscle. If you see the diagram, near the urethra, there would be the sphincter muscles, urinary bladder, into the urethra under impulse from the nervous system. So the nervous system will send a message. We will do that in the nervous system chapter. It will send a message and thereby you would have the sphincter muscles ensuring, okay, the opening of the urinary bladder into the urethra under the impulse from the nervous system, and this process is called micturition. So this definition is important. इस पर ध्यान दीजिए, समझ लीजिए कि क्या हो रहा है. What are the 3-4 things? The message from the nervous system, the opening, the role of the sphincter muscle, etc. That is what the entire process is called micturition. तो ये समझ लीजिए. Now let's do a quick recap. वो सीरियल नेक्स्ट डे एपिसोड आने से पहले recap होता है ना, so ये recap कर लेते हैं. Okay, so what does glomerulus do? It takes part in ultrafiltration. Bowman's capsule जो कि glomerulus के बाहर है, it receives the glomerular filtrate और नीचे जाता है through a mass of tubules. The proximal convoluted tubule, the PCT, जो आप डायग्राम में देख सकते हैं, right? You will be able to see if you are able to see it in this book, you would see that this is the glomerular filtrate and this is the PCT, and then there will be the collecting duct out here, and there is also the DCT, the distal convoluted tubule. So proximal convoluted tubule, the reabsorbs most water plus sodium plus glucose plus chloride ions. That is the role played by the PCT. What does the loop of Henle? The loop of Henle, which is like वो क्या बोलते हैं, U-turn, kind of a hairpin bend की तरह जो रहता है, hairpin bend. The hairpin bend is something which is like this, you know, where you It's a very narrow kind of a stretch like this. Okay, this is the loop of Henle. Some absorption of water as well as sodium ions takes place. Then the DCT, the distal convoluted tubule, it reabsorbs the remaining chlorides and some water and plays a part in tubular secretion. Tubular जो secretion होता है, जो last stage है in the formation of urine, in that also the distal convoluted tubule plays a part. Okay. इसके बाद the afferent arteriole. So इसमें you need to understand the role of these three. Afferent arteriole जो बाहर से blood लेके आता है, it gets more water, it contains more water, it contains nitrogenous waste, the blood cells, the glucose and the plasma proteins and the salts. हो गया? इसके बाद आया ग्लोमेरुलर फिल्ट्रेट में, उसमें भी पानी रहता है, नाइट्रोजनस वेस्ट, ग्लूकोज और सॉल्ट. लेकिन जो बाकी क्या बचता है जो कि एफरेंट आर्टेरियोल से बाहर जाता है, उसमें बहुत कम पानी जाता है, लेकिन ब्लड सेल्स और प्लाज्मा प्रोटीन जाते हैं, जिसकी वजह से कॉन्सेंट्रेटेड रहता है, काफी थिक रहता है. हैव यू अंडरस्टूड टिल नाउ? गुड. एक और बारी डायग्राम देख लेते हैं ताकि देयर इज नो कंफ्यूजन एट ऑल. दिस इज व्हाट इज द लूप ऑफ हेनले. ओके, then all this kind of this thing are there, the vasa recta, then this is the Henle's loop, this is the Bowman's capsule, and this is the glomerulus, the afferent arteriole, and this side is the efferent arteriole. तो यहां पे ये है distal convoluted tubule and this is the proximal convoluted tubule this side. Okay, so the way it kind of goes up like that and comes into the collecting duct, this one. Okay, let's now move to knowing about urine कि आखिरकार होता क्या है, what is there in urine that you need to know about. In terms of color, the color is clear yellow. However, I mean due to pigment urochrome, this is another favorite MCQ question. What contributes the color yellow to urine? That's because of the pigment urochrome. The diet can however affect urine. कभी आपने सोचा है, कभी आपने बीटरूट की सब्जी खाई हो तो यूरिन का कलर रेड क्यों होता है? That's because of the diet that you have eaten. Okay, so what color is your urine after you eat beetroot dish? Volume usually 1 to 1.5 liters per day, but that can vary depending on the weather conditions, depending on your intake. The pH is between 5 to 8. Again, it is slightly acidic and can be more acidic with a protein diet and more alkaline with a vegetable diet. The odor is strong ammonia-like due to bacterial activity. Again, important. Specific gravity is 1.003 to 1.035. What are the constituents of urine? The normal human urine consists of 95% water and 5% solid waste dissolved in it. We have already studied that. You know, all this is part of urine. Now there can be some abnormalities. There can be some abnormalities. About 5-6 हैं, उसके बारे में पढ़ते हैं. One is hematuria, when the blood passes with urine due to infection in urinary tract. Now this is in fact a very common ailment, right? When blood passes through your urine, so that is because of infection in your urinary tract, or it could be because of kidney stone, which is an extremely painful medical condition, or it can be because of the presence of a tumor. Okay, because of any of these three reasons, you could have blood coming as part of your urine. This condition is called hematuria. Then we go to glycosuria, where a condition of excess glucose passes with urine due to diabetes mellitus, which is known as sugar diabetes. Diabetes mellitus is sugar diabetes. Then there is ketonuria, where presence of high ketones bodies in urine. This is yet another abnormality. ये भी एक बड़ी abnormality है, which is often seen. Then you have the polyuria, where more production of urine due to lack of antidiuretic hormone. Okay, and ADH की कमी से more production of urine होता हो, so that situation is called polyuria. पांचवा हो गया gout, जहां पर डेपोजिशन ऑफ यूरिक एसिड, अगर यूरिक एसिड काफी डेपोजिशन होता है जॉइंट्स के अंदर, ओके, नियर द लेग्स, नीचे वगैरह, नियर द टोज, इट रिजल्ट्स इन स्वेलिंग, ओके, और पेन इन द जॉइंट्स. नाउ दैट कंडीशन, दैट मेडिकल कंडीशन इज कॉल्ड gout, GOUT. Last one is no, not last one. Kidney stone. That's yet another about which मैंने अभी भी बताया. Due to accumulation of calcium salts, phosphate and oxalate, उसकी वजह से kidney stones अगर आपके इसमें है, so that can create a huge problem and huge pain. Then albumin due to high BP or increase in permeability of Bowman's capsule membrane due to bacterial infection. This is yet another abnormality. And the last one, bile pigments, which can lead to anemia, hepatitis, or due to liver cirrhosis. उसके वजह से this medical condition can happen. Okay, but the first 3-4 ones are extremely important. Okay. Now, how does urine taste or smell? Saltish usually, but can be sweetish due to sugar diabetes. अगर sugar diabetes हो, तो it can be sweetish. और इसी वजह से ants then gather to lick urine of a diabetic patient. ओके अगर एक डायबिटिक पेशेंट का यूरिन हो तो यू विल फाइंड एंड्स अगेन एन एमसीक्यू और अ 2 मार्क क्वेश्चन. ओके if it is tasteless, it is due to too much water. Condition called diabetes insipidus due to insufficient ADH hormone, that is the antidiuretic hormone. So diabetes insipidus और diabetes mellitus के बीच में आपको ये डिफरेंस जानना जरूरी है. Okay. Then, how do you regulate the urine output? Now, ADH antidiuretic hormone एक तरह से आपका मास्टर की तरह है. ऐसा होता है ना, एक चाबी होती है जिससे कि सभी दरवाजे खुल सकते हैं घर के, या मास्टर की आपके पास है, आपके पास डुप्लीकेट भी है, लेकिन जैसे होटल्स में उनके पास सभी रूम्स की चाबियां रहती हैं. दोस आर कॉल्ड द मास्टर कीज. तो ह्यूमन बॉडी के अंदर ADH is like your master key जो कि आपका यूरिन प्रोडक्शन को कंट्रोल करता है. ओके भला कैसे? क्योंकि ADH is secreted by posterior lobe of pituitary gland. ये हम endocrine glands के चैप्टर में पढ़ेंगे. ADH को वहां से secretion होता है, और अगर ADH secretion कम होता है then there is increased production of urine. So less production of ADH, less secretion of ADH, उसके वजह से आपका यूरिन प्रोडक्शन ज्यादा होगा. दिस इज कॉल्ड डायूरेसिस. सो ये पोर्शन इज ऑल्सो इंपॉर्टेंट अगेन फ्रॉम द पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू ऑफ एमसीक्यूज एंड 2 मार्क क्वेश्चंस. दूसरा, substances that increase formation of urine are called diuretics. You know, those are the substances like alcohol, like coffee, like tea, or any other kind of liquid diets, जिससे कि यूरिन का प्रोडक्शन इंक्रीज होता है. ओके, then finally we come to osmoregulation. ये भला क्या है? The regulation of osmotic pressure of the blood. Simple definition. Definition बोले तो this is the definition. The regulation of osmotic pressure of blood. असलियत में होता क्या है? This function is conducted by the kidney, और ये basically regulate करता है the composition of the blood, because that's very important. No, see, because it's a very complicated process. It's not simple that, you know, some liquid is being 95% of water is being released in the form of urine. No. हमेशा ये बात को रेगुलेट करना जरूरी है कि आपका ब्लड का, आपका पूरा बॉडी का द एंटायर कॉन्सेंट्रेशन इज मेंटेन्ड एट द राइट लेवल इन टर्म्स ऑफ specific gravity, in terms of pH value, everything. All that is important in terms of the presence of salts, सब कुछ. So basically, osmoregulation regulate करता है composition of the blood in terms of percentage of water and salts while removing waste like urea. तो जब वेस्ट को रिमूव कर रहे हैं, उसके साथ साथ ऐसा ना हो कि जो ब्लड का जो पूरा कॉम्पोजिशन है, ओके, दैट शुड नॉट गेट डामाडोल नहीं होना चाहिए. तो उस बात की गारंटी लेता है. दैट प्रोसेस इज कॉल्ड ऑस्मोरेगुलेशन, और ये करता है किडनी. सो ड्रिंकिंग वाटर हेल्प्स कीप द किडनीज इन गुड शेप. ये तो हम सभी ने जाना है, किडनीज के लिए अच्छा है, किडनी स्टोन्स फॉर्म नहीं होते हैं, स्किन अच्छा रहता है. इट्स गुड फॉर योर जनरल बॉडी एंड डिमीनर इफ यू ड्रिंक adequate amounts of water irrespective of whether it is summer or winter. Okay, then do you drink enough water? Next slide भी वही है. Do you drink enough water? We drink more water in summer. इसमें एक क्वेश्चन देखते हैं. हम समर में, गर्मी के महीनों में ज्यादा पानी पीते हैं, है ना? तो लेकिन we urinate less in summer than in winter. भला ऐसा क्यों? Because winter में you probably go to the washroom much more than you go in summer. Even though you feel more thirsty in summers and drink more water. आप गर्मी के महीनों में पानी ज्यादा पीते हैं क्योंकि आपको प्यास ज्यादा लगती है, लेकिन आप वॉशरूम कम जाते हैं in comparison to how many times you may go in the winter months. ऐसा क्यों होता है? Okay. Also, the urine pass is also thicker in summer. The reason is that in summer we lose considerable part of water through perspiration. गर्मी होती है, पसीना आता है, so we lose a lot of water through perspiration itself, through the skin. And kidneys have to reabsorb more water from urine. The absorption process, the kidneys have to absorb more water from the urine, making it more concentrated and more thick. That is the reason. Then finally, can you live with one kidney? Dialysis के बारे में तो आपने सुना ही होगा. तो क्या आप एक किडनी बोलते हैं ना कि आईफोन खरीदना था इसलिए मैंने एक किडनी बेच दी, राइट? जो जोक मारते हैं, दो आई थिंक इट्स अ वेरी क्रूअल जोक. तो एक किडनी के साथ यस आप सरवाइव कर सकते हैं, लेकिन अगर दोनों किडनीज फेल हो गई तब आपके सरवाइव करने के चांसेस बिल्कुल ना के बराबर हैं. देन आपको आर्टिफिशियल मशीन का सहारा लेना पड़ेगा. सो वन किडनी इज एनफ फॉर एक्सक्रीटरी पर्पसेस एंड टू लीड ए नॉर्मल लाइफ. लेकिन अगर दोनों किडनी डैमेज हो जाती हैं तो आपको एक आर्टिफिशियल किडनी की मदद लेनी पड़ेगी, जिसको कि डायलिसिस मशीन कहा जाता है. ओके, तो इसमें होता क्या है? इसमें जो मेडिकल प्रोसीजर ये है कि जो पेशेंट का जो खून है that is led from the radial artery in arm, यहां से through a machine, वो पूरी डायलिसिस की मशीन आती है, through machine where urea and excess salts are removed and purified blood is returned to a vein in the same arm. यानी कि जो ब्लड है, जो impure blood है, उसको निकाल के pure blood is put inside the same arm and has to be done at least twice a week. Normally at least twice a week, हो सकता है ज्यादा भी, depends on the age of the patient, that depends on the medical condition of the patient, that of course also depends on the doctor's advice. Okay, so with this we come to the end of the third and concluding part of the excretory system. मैं उम्मीद करता हूं कि आपको समझ में आ गया होगा. Closer to the exams we will do more revision as well as more question and answers, ताकि whatever we have studied आप प्लीज एंश्योर कीजिए पार्ट 1, पार्ट 2 एंड पार्ट 3 तीनों के एक साथ देख लीजिए, वन आफ्टर द अदर, ताकि पूरा चैप्टर जो कि हमने काफी डिटेल में किया है आपको पूरी तरह से समझ में आ जाए. थैंक यू वेरी मच फॉर वॉचिंग. शेयर द वीडियो एंड सब्सक्राइब टू द चैनल. बाय बाय.